A very good evening to you. And welcome along to another Sweet and Swing here on Max Radio. My name's Howard Kane. Friday evening, pleasure to have your company. And what have we got? Well, how about a bit of the poet of the piano, Carmen Cavallero? More from Frank and Friends. Digging into that Curious from Belgium with Love box set. Flanders and Swann. But to get going, I think I'll just be hanging around. I'll be hanging around. Well, I'll be hanging around for the next hour or so, I dare say, here on Max Radio. You better hope I am, otherwise it'll go very quiet indeed, because there's no one else here to bring you Sweet and Swing this evening. Fear not, I'm not going anywhere. Lovely to have your company, as always, on a Friday night. I trust I find you well, or as well as can be in this, what passes for a summer. I am increasingly thinking that was it. I'm not going to dwell on it, but I'm just going to reiterate my feeling that the period between early May and just after TT was the summer. Yes, I know, it is grumpy, but Dear oh me, I was looking out the other evening and you could again, as has been the case on more than one Manx summer of late, be mistaken for thinking it wasn't July but actually early October. Misty, pretty cold, wet, drizzly, foggy over the mountains, etc. I'll leave it there. Enjoy the good days when we get them, I suppose. Although equally I shouted that if you're working it's a bit tricky. But if you're not working, then get out there when the sun's nice. You've got no excuse. Ken McIntosh getting us going with that one. I'll be hanging around with the vocals from the wonderfully named Magpies. Mac, M-A-C, yeah, see what he did there. Magpies. Ken McIntosh, I think he did play over here on the Isle of Man. Should have asked Morris, he'd probably remember one way or another. But very popular back in the day. Started out as a saxophonist with both Oscar Rabin and Frank Weir, and then branched out on his own in the late 1940s after the war. And he had this great sound with a fairly big-sounding band, very popular up and down the length of the country. His signature tune, you might remember, The Very Thought of You. The Very Thought of You, Ray Noble, yeah. Appeared on plenty of radio and TV shows in the 50s. But then, of course, as the Beat generation, as we call it here, came along in the 60s and pop music became the norm, electronic small bands, the Beatles, breathe not a word of it abroad, those long-haired louts. They did all right there, didn't they? And the tunes were quite good, to be fair. But Ken actually had a good career. He kept going. He was still quite popular, even though tastes had changed somewhat. He performed still regularly at the Empire Ballroom in Leicester Square and also the Hammersmith Palais, not a bad venue, for 7 years, and then went to the Lyceum Ballroom in the Strand, playing for a certain market, I dare say. Still not bad, and finished off by playing aboard the cruise liner the QE2 before he retired in the 1980s. Don't think he's with us anymore, to the best of my knowledge. I'm fairly certain he isn't, but he'd be a good age if he is, because he'd be centenarian and then some, a year or two beyond that, if he was still going. But nonetheless, a good, long, happy career, and finishing off on the QE2. Yeah, that would be all right for me. I'd go with that. I've never been on the QE2. I have been abroad on a jumbo jet and some of the big ones, and to nice sunny places, which made me think of this next track from Joe Loss. Because if we went to Singapore or far-flung climes, the one thing you could always bring back and buy at the airport were orchids. This poor woman, not quite so lucky though. No orchids for my lady. Oh dear, poor woman. No Orchids for My Lady with Joe Loss. My namesake on the vocal there, Howard Jones. He also started out with Frank Weir as well, and then played with or sang with Stanley Black and Billy Ternant before going on to work with Joe Loss, of course, and he remained there until he sort of branched out on his own in 1955. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely heading towards the Beat generation somewhat. Well, one way or another, in any case, still pre-Beatles, I guess, but yeah, pretty impressive one way or another. Lovely stuff indeed, most enjoyable, and a nice round sort of plummy voice. I thought it was Chick Henderson at first, but I haven't heard Chick for a while. The trouble is you have gaps in between them, and unless they've got a really distinctive voice like Al Bowley, they start to sort of sound a bit similar in your mind's ear, if you know what I mean. But maybe that's just me, because I don't listen to them as often as I should sometimes. I confess to quite often preferring some of the instrumentals, but same way with my modern jazz, I always prefer the modern, or at least the modern small group instrumentals to the stuff with singers on or vocals on. By and large, there are a few exceptions. Time for a bit of Fats, yes, and this for a couple of Sweet and Swing regulars who've been going through a bit of a tough time with some health issues of late. They'll know who they are. And I know they like a bit of Fats, so you know what, if it helps put a little bit of a smile, you can't fix anything, can you, really? But music always helps to smooth a little bit, if nothing else, when someone thinks you're wonderful.
Somebody thinks you're wonderful. What a difference in your day. Seems as though your troubles disappear like a feather in your way. When somebody thinks you're wonderful, tells you with a smile so sweet, what are little stones you're stepping on? Just a meadow neath your feet. And how you meet the morning, you gaily swing along. At night you may be weary, but your heart still sings a song. When somebody thinks you're wonderful, love is mighty close to you. Just another thing more wonderful, making all your dreams come true. Oh, somebody done told you was wonderful, huh? Difference in today, I see that now. Oh, the troubles done disappeared? Well, you got feathers in your way now, huh? Tell me more, get me more of that smile, yeah. And them stones you set me upon. Well, all right. Oh, how you meet the morning. Oh, you gaily swing along. At night you may be weary. Your heart still sings a song. Somebody thinks you're wonderful. All right.
That's the way you do it. They are two for the price of one. A bit of Fats first, of course. Unmistakable Fats. When somebody thinks you're wonderful, starting off serious and gets sillier, as it's remarked on in the liner notes about how he couldn't resist sometimes. He did have a softer side. And, he could play straightforward renditions, but as it's remarked on, when he got started on the silly voices and the wisecracks, there was absolutely no going back, even though there's some brilliant piano playing. And when on Somebody Thinks You're Wonderful, the opening chorus with Cedric's clarinet crooning along as his best mock-genteel manner, the record one of Fat's early successes, and probably never completely out of print since the mid-1930s, but he can't resist a little bit at the end, just to sort of throw it in. Great notes from Dave Gelly, written, back in 1995. Where's the time go? Sounds recent, but it's like almost a quarter of a century ago, isn't it? It is a quarter of a century ago. More than a quarter of a century ago. Oh, don't think about it. Don't think about it. And then we had Stan Bradbury with a little selection there. The Merry Widow, or the Merry Widow Waltz, to start off. Destiny was in the middle. And then he ended up with Yip, I Addy. Right, we're going to dip into the... throw caution to the wind and dip into the wonderful box set, some of which has never been unwrapped, I have to say, called From Belgium with Love. I do seem to recall this was a present from my sister to the old maestro, probably about 15 years ago, maybe more, one Christmas, when he was still obviously knocking around and listening to music. And he clearly has listened to some. If I have a quick look in the box set here, let's take a look. So he's listened to the one I've opened here. He's had this one. Toots Thielmans has been listened to. Michel Legrand is also open. However, oh yes, there's one. Okay, so Guy Visser is open, but the Bobby Jasper Modern Jazz at the Club Saint-Germain is still in its shrink wrap. Modern Jazz. Is that going to be too modern, do you think, for Sweet and Swing? Possibly. We'll put those back for now. I'll leave the one I picked out, I think. So what have we got here? Yeah, I saw that. I rather like the... I think this is why he dug it out. René Thomas, the real cat. And bearing in mind the old maestro also, of course, used to call himself the Jazz Cat. Then it's not that surprising. Okay, what should we have then? René Thomas, Someone to Watch Over Me. Very nice too. René Thomas on the guitar in the company of René Uthriger, I think, on piano on that one. Benoit Cresselin on bass, is it? Yeah, it looks like it. And Benoit... No, I can't read that one. It's so small, some of this writing. You need a magnifying glass to get anywhere near it. Jean-Louis Vell on the drums. And jazz in... See, it's called Jazz in Paris, but it is in From Belgium with Love. I'm not quite too sure. Either some of them have got mixed up, or it's just a curious mixed set of guitar-labelled selections of jazz from the continent after the war. I don't know. It's all good stuff. but doesn't always make sense necessarily. Anyway, I enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Nice bit of brushwork, some nice guitar playing in a sort of early bop style, or maybe some mid-bop style from Rennie there. And what's not to like, I suppose, is what you'd say. I don't know what you'd say about this next one or not. We will find out, because it's going to be a bit of Perry. You can't go wrong with a bit of Perry. It's jazz in the classics. We've been enjoying these over the last few weeks, haven't we? The vintage-style jazz classics, the music of Grieg, Chopin, Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff, Rimsky-Korsakov. I haven't done Flight of the Bumblebee yet, have I? Must do that next week. Performed by the likes of Dorsey, Sinatra, Miller, Bing Crosby. Yeah, you name it. In this case, Perry Como.
Till the end of time, long as stars are in the blue, long as there's a spring, a bird to sing, I'll go on loving you. Till the end of time, long as roses bloom in May, my love for you will grow deeper with every passing day, till the wells run dry and each mountain disappears. I'll be there for you, to care for you through laughter and through tears. So take my heart in sweet surrender and tenderly say that I'm the one you love and live for till the end of time. Till the wells run dry and each mountain disappears, I'll be there for you, to care for you through laughter and through tears. So take my heart in sweet surrender and tenderly say that I'm the one you love and live for till the end of time.
A good dramatic flourish to finish there, till the end of time. Based, of course, on a bit of Chopin. That wasn't Chopin, that was Perry Como, you might well have gathered. But it is based on Chopin's Polonaise No. 6 in A-flat, the Heroic, Opus 53, if you're interested, but became a 2 million seller #1 hit. Perry Como with Russ Case and his orchestra in the mid-40s, 1945 in New York. That was recorded and did rather nicely for him. We'll have another jazz in the classics next week. There's a few more yet, I think. I'll do the Bumblebee. We haven't done the Flight of the Bumblebee yet, have we? Used to love that one as a kid. The Flight of the Bumblebee. I think it only lasts about 1.5 minutes, but a good one to do in any case. But I'm just looking at the time, and it is disappearing at its usual rate of knots. Oh, woe is me.
in the mournful minor key. Like a day, woe is me. Woe is me, and now I know that I was crazy to let you go. Love, you got me up a tree. Woe is me.
Woe is me, I set you free. Now I'm sorry as I can be. Ain't you got no sympathy? Oh, woe is me. You were right and I was wrong. Keep singing the whole day long in the mournful minor key. Oh, woe is little odor. Every night the sky is moonless. Every day is a day for you and me. Oh, every song I hear is tuneless. Please forgive and let's smile. Oh, woe is me. Now I know I was crazy to let you go, and you got me up a tree. Oh, woe is me. What a little oh.
Good cymbal flourish to finish off. Woe is me, Dinah Miller. And chorus, I think Oscar Rabin himself taking the vocals there as well. Woe is me. Yeah, it's always a case of woe is me, isn't it, as the time goes flying past. I was thinking the other day, yes, that we're already well halfway past the year. No, don't think about it. Do not think about heading towards the end of the summer. And the strange thing is, isn't it, when you're a child and you've only just broken up. So when you're at school, school holidays have only just started. And yet somehow or other, when you're older and, not been at school for a couple of years, it already feels like quite late summer now, doesn't it? We're heading towards August, and then that means September's next, and it's all over for another year. There's lots of other things to look forward to, but yes. Anyway, we might get some good weather in October. You never know. That's the way it sometimes goes. Flanders and Swann, singing about something. It's a nice one, this. It was actually about the Beecham Cuts, but I think it applies pretty much to any journey you want to take on the railway these days. Or these days even. You'll almost certainly get the slow train.
Millersdale for Tideswell, Kirby Muxlow, Malcop and Scholar Green. No more will I go to Blandford Forum and Morty Ho. On the slow train from Midsummer Norton and Mumby Road. No chuds, no porter, no cat on a seat at Chorlton come Harney or Chester Le Street. We won't be meeting again on the slow train. I'll travel no more from Littleton Badsy to Openshaw. At Long Santon I'll stand well clear of the doors no more. No whitewashed pebbles, no up and no down, from Formby Four Crosses to Dunstable Town. I won't be going again on the slow train. On the main line and the good siding, the grass grows high. At Dogdyke, Tumby Woodside and Trouble House Halt. The sleepers sleep at Audlam and Ambergate. No passenger waits on Chittering Platform or Cheslin Hay. No one departs, no one arrives, from Selby to Goole, from St. Earth to St. Ives. They've all passed out of our lives on the slow train, on the slow train.
Cockermouth for Buttermere,
On the slow train,
Armley Moor, Aram, Pie Hill and Summercoats,
on the slow train.
Windmill End.
Ah, lovely stuff. And a great melody that as well by Donald Swann, beautifully played there. And the pair of them singing, not an easy thing to do necessarily, play and sing at the same time. Our Elton was very good at that as well. Elton John, if you saw him at Glastonbury. I mean, I dare say there is even a crossover between Sweet and Swing listeners and Elton John listeners. Such has been his longevity. He might be on Sweet and Swing in another 20 years if we're still going. Who knows? Who knows? Could be in future episodes. Flanders and Swann and the Slow Train. Now, I promised you a bit of the poet of the piano. Do you remember this man? Carmen Cavallero. And here he is with the Andrews Sisters.
I've a secret in my heart, sweet Marie, a tale I would impart, love to thee. Every daisy in the dell knows my secret, knows it well, and yet I dare not tell, sweet Marie. When I hold your hand in mine, sweet Marie, a feeling most divine comes to me. All the world is full of spring, full of warblers on the wing, and I listen while they sing, sweet Marie. Come to me, sweet Marie, sweet Marie, come to me, not because your face is fair, love to see, but your soul so pure and sweet makes my happiness complete, makes me falter at your feet, sweet Marie. In the morn when I awake, sweet Marie, seems to me my heart will break, love to thee. Every wave that shakes the shore seems to sing it o'er and o'er, seems to say that I adore, sweet Marie. When the sunset tints the west, sweet Marie, and I sit down to rest, love with thee. Every star that studs the sky seems to stand and wonder why they're so dimmer than your eyes, sweet Marie. Sweet Marie, come to me, come to me, come to me, not because your face is fair, love to see, but your soul so pure and sweet makes my happiness complete, makes me falter at your feet, sweet Marie.
The poet of the piano, Carmen Cavallero, with the Andrews Sisters there, and Sweet Marie. Born in New York in 1913. It came from Sicily originally and started out, so it's claimed, picking out tunes on a toy piano. And this inspired his parents, if this isn't just urban myth, to say yes, very good indeed, and get him some lessons to go with a local piano teacher, which he did, and trained sort of classically. By the age of 16, he was good enough to take the piano bench in the high school orchestra, and soon he was playing Saturday dates with various club orchestras around the place. Offered his first job in 1933. Al Cavlin, asked by the management of the Central Park in New York, the Central Park Casino that is, to fill the position about to be vacated by the Eddie Dixon Orchestra. And the 8 weeks initial contract was so successful it was extended to 24 weeks. And Carmen Cavallaro, who was billed simply as Carmen, became one of the band's main attractions. Got fan mail just for himself, poured in as the band broadcast on radio each evening. And he stayed with Cavallaro until 1937, and then took on a series of shorter engagements with other society bands around the place, including working with Rudy Vallee. At the beginning of war, in the 1939, he formed his own 9-piece band, acting as arranger and musical director, and it was at this point that Decca Records asked him to record his first album, Dancing in the Dark. Yep, that's where it comes from. Great public response to the album, and it became a massive success. Went on to, fame and fortune, whatever, and played well until very recently. His last public appearance was in the early 1980s. He performed for the last time in 1986 at the Columbus Palace Theatre's 60th anniversary, where he headlined with Helen O'Connell, and he died 3 years later in Columbus, Ohio. Carmen Cavallaro, the poet of the piano, fine set of ashes on him as well on the front cover, grinning away at the camera for a publicity shot one way or another whilst sat at the keyboard at a slightly jaunty angle, but immaculately attired in a penguin suit, full dinner suit. Very nice too. Now, a blues, or no, I tell you what, we got this one. This is something we dug out the other week, the Jazz Age, New York in the 20s, and I think as I mentioned Singapore earlier on, it seems appropriate to have a bit of this. Singapore Sorrows.
Singapore sorrows stealing around at night. Singapore sorrows filling each soul with fright. Out through the gloom they go round to your room, and while you sleep they just keep right on crooning. Nothing but sadness, why did you go astray? You will find gladness if you just stay away. That's what I heard in that old Chinatown. Singapore sorrows following you around.
crash on the China cymbal on one of those swan neck stands, no doubt, at the end there. Singapore Sorrows, Ben Pollock and his Californians, recorded in April of 1928, with Ben himself taking the vocals there. And on tenor sax, a gentleman I did actually know quite well. That starts to make you feel old, doesn't it? Bud Freeman. He'd be a young man then. Yeah, he probably would be in his 20s, I dare say. But there he was, playing tenor sax with the likes of Ed Bergman and Ben Pollock, of course, and Al Bella and such like. Amazing to think. And then we saw him, well, at least I knew him, when he was then in his 70s probably, and I would be, I don't know, 10, 11, something like that, when he came over to the Isle of Man. It'd be in the 1970s. And yes, he would come and he played several times. Loved the Isle of Man and Britain, and played several times for the Manx Jazz Club, and would stay at our house. And got a couple of pictures somewhere of playing Scrabble with the old maestro and Bud Freeman. But there he was in 1928 in his pomp. It's a funny sort of feeling playing, thinking it seems an awfully long time ago, and indeed it is. And yet there was someone I knew, oh, goodness me, and at their prime. We haven't had any Franken Friends yet, have we? Yeah, we'd better have a bit of Franken Friends before it's too late. Yeah, this is a good one. Don't Bring Lulu.
I'll bring Van, that freckle-faced man,
but don't bring Crosby.
I'll bring Hope with a nose like a rope,
But don't bring a Crosby.
pork by hat on top of his fuzz.
Not as much fuzz as they used to was.
When he wears those shirts to town,
Hey, the window shades come a-tumbling down.
Como can come and Carson that bum.
But don't bring you-know-who.
I'm telling you that Boo-Boo-Boo-Boo has to stay up on the shelf.
He came to town on the boxcars. Now look at all his Oscars.
Don't bring Crosby, don't bring Crosby.
I'll bring him myself,
That chubby rascal.
I'll bring him myself.
Ted Heath and the Boys, coming straight off the back of a fairly short and sweet bit of Frank Sinatra. Yes, it is, of course, What About Lulu? But they were slightly amending the words, I think, there, we could say, to What About Crosby? Don't Bing Crosby. Don't Bing Crosby almost at times, wasn't it? Don't Bing Crosby. Yeah, very good. But short and sweet in any case, a little bit of fun there with Don't Bring Lulu. Frank Sinatra duetting with Jack Carson. And then we straight into a little bit of the wonderful Ted Heath from his London suite. We just heard the first movement, Chelsea. And there's also, we'll play some of the others over the few weeks, maybe Whitechapel and Limehouse and Bond Street, Piccadilly, Soho and on. And Ted Heath himself, massively popular, of course, perhaps one of Britain's greatest post-war big band leaders. More than 100 albums he actually recorded, and between them they sold, wait for it, 20 million copies. Don't know, you get those sort of successful numbers these days. The most successful band in Britain during the 1950s. That was indeed Ted Heath, and remained going really as a ghost band long after Ted himself passed away, and carried on going until relatively recently, 20 odd years ago, 2000, I think they kept playing. Ted himself started out, like so many of them, young at the age of 6, when he was encouraged by his father, a trumpeter and a very keen bandsman with Wandsworth Town Brass Band. But Ted soon switched over to trombone, and the rest, as they say, is history. It's often the case. And if you like a bit of band music, of course, do not forget, on the Monday evening, we have one of the best brass band programmes in the country here on Manx Radio. Time for Brass with Ian Cottier. Continuously doing the programme for 40 plus years. Quite easily, we believe, the longest continuous running brass band programme in the world. Just another first for Manx Radio, but we're used to those. 60 next year, by the way, Manx Radio. Celebrations already in place, or being planned. Hopefully we'll still be here and do something to mark it on Sweet and Swing. In the meantime, how about next week? Same time, same place. Cheerio.